Okay. Hello, everybody that happens to listen to this. Thank you for being with me today, since there's no time and space. Today, or what I want to talk about, is my experience with Lesson 79. I got a chance to look at myself today. And I didn't even know it was coming, right? Life just kind of slapped me upside the head and taught me that what I think I know, I don't. And what I try to talk about in here and try to get everybody else to understand how thought creates and how somebody else needs to do what I'm doing so that I can, give that to them. It was shown to me that I can't give that to them if I don't have it. Right? Man, I didn't want to hear that. So let me just explain to you what happened. Right, this morning, it's Saturday. Today is this recording is dated Saturday, December 12th, 2015. And I woke up this morning. I wanted to get some things done on my blog and do a little ACA, study A Course in Miracles a little bit, do a little writing, put some more stuff out there, right? So I could share with the world what I want everybody else to learn. So I'm talking to my wife about this because, she was making some complaints and stuff about this and that or whatever. And I tried to get her to understand that that's her thought and how her thoughts hurt her. And, immediately I was met with resistance because I'm always talking about this stuff. I'm always thinking about it. Honestly, I'm obsessed with this. And I tried to get her to understand why I'm obsessed with it so much is because I want it. Right? I want to learn this so that I can have peace. And I'm so stuck in the idea that in order to teach it, in order to have it, I have to teach it, which is true. And I'm still stuck in that mentality, because that is true. But here's the thing: as I was teaching her what it is I want to learn, and how thought creates and all that, the more I tried to convince her, the more I was really showing myself, right? Because there's nothing outside of me. It came back to me immediately what I was doing, right? Trying to convince something outside of me what I don't know yet. And I know that sounds hilarious and maybe even a little strange to you if you're listening, but if there's nothing outside of me, then what I believe to be outside of me, is going to come and slap me upside the head and say, you're not living, you're out of integrity, right? I was out of integrity totally because I'm trying to convince something outside of me what I don't believe for myself. That peace isn't here because I was in conflict with her, talking about how I need to get someone else to understand that peace cannot be where conflict is, because it's at conflict with peace. And the more she wouldn't hear it, right, the more frustrated I became. So I kept trying to tell her, what idea are you holding, right? The idea of conflict. And I almost got myself to tears trying to get her to understand all I want to do is join with her so that I can love her, right? My wife. And if she's holding an idea of conflict, I can't have peace because she doesn't have it. And I had to, and once I heard myself say that, wait a minute. You know, I started to write, I got myself upset and I started to write a post in Facebook in a couple of different Facebook pages that deal with ACIM and conscious awakening and everything. And as I began to write out, you know, the question, can I teach forgiveness to somebody that's unwilling to learn it? Right? So that I can have it. And as I began to write it out, which was really helpful, I began to see what it was that I was doing. Right? Looking for something out there to give me what I wanted for myself. Which will never work because, well, let's just read, lesson 79, which says, let me recognize the problem so it can be solved. A problem cannot be solved if you do not know what it is. And at the time, I didn't, but it was shown to me. Life showed me. Anyway, even if it is really solved already, which I have a good sense of, or think I do, even if it is really solved already, you will still have the problem because you will not recognize that it has already been solved. This is the situation of the world, the problem of separation, which is really the only problem, has already been solved. Yet the solution is not recognized because the problem is not recognized. Everyone in this world seems to have his own special problems, yet they are all the same and must be recognized as one if the one solution that solves them all is to be accepted, which is exactly what I was trying to get my wife to understand, right? So I'm projecting onto her what I don't understand because I think she doesn't understand it. No. So I'm showing myself how much I don't understand it by trying to convince her because I think that belief of separation still lives in me. Right? Which shows me I haven't woken up yet. I haven't recognized the problem. I only think I do. But if I'm still projecting onto someone else my problem of separation, that thought created a conflict with my wife. That was the problem because I think she's separate from me because I was seeing her as a body and as a separate mind. And that got reflected. It got immediately reflected just like I'm talking about. And it took me to be able to start writing it out about what my question was for the answer to come, for me to be able to see it on paper. Right? And how many times have I heard myself, other people, quote unquote, talk about, write it out, keep a journal. And I was like, man, I don't need to write this stuff. I just need to think about it and look at what my thoughts are. What better way to do that than to write them out so that you can take if you're going to believe in separation, if that's the fundamental belief, right? I need to put that belief out there so that I can look at it. And I came up with a little solution, or not a solution, a mantra, right? To keep myself in gratitude, which is, thank you for the illusion of separation in me. Oh, I forgot how it went. I'll have to read it. Let me see if I can find it. I'll put it in the comments. I'll leave a comment underneath this of how I exactly stated it. So, because I only said it once, but it was really good, and I want to share it so that I can get it down inside my bones. Anyway, so everyone in the world seems to have his own special problems. Here in paragraph 2 of lesson 79. Yet they are all the same and must be recognized as one if the solution that solves them all is to be accepted. Who can see that a problem has been solved if he thinks the problem is something else? Which I did. I thought the problem was her unwillingness to join me in what I'm interested in, healing my mind. It's not my choice whether she wants to heal her mind or not. That's her choice, right? But if I heal my mind, well, if we're one, the more I heal my mind, I will transfer that healing to her without having to do anything. She'll see the peace that I have and want it for herself. I have to teach myself that I don't have to teach anybody anything but myself. And here I am talking to you, right? Making a recording of this in the hopes that you'll learn what it is I'm trying to learn. So even now, I can see that that's what I'm doing. And it's crazy, but if I don't share the idea at the same time, right? So that's the paradox, right? Because I believe in separation, right? And we're not separate. So there's bodies everywhere that believe in separation, right? Little individual separated things that need to come together as one. So we all need to come to the idea of oneness, which is exactly what I was trying to tell my wife. So here we go again, right? And that's why it feels like sometimes I feel like I'm just chasing my tail constantly. But that's why everything spins, because sooner or later, man, that spinning has to come to a stop and a stillness, right? We have to make ourselves so dizzy that we just fall over and give up. So that's what we're doing. That's what A Course in Miracles is about. To see how we chase how we're all chasing our own tail, chasing for something we don't believe is here. That's the whole thing. Okay, anyway. That is the position in which you find yourself now, paragraph 3. You have the answer, but you are still uncertain about what the problem is. A long series of different problems seems to confront you. And as one is settled, the next one and the next one arise. There seems to be no end to them. Yeah, that's exactly right. There is no time in which you feel completely free of problems and at peace. Man, that's totally my experience, man. The temptation to regard problems as many is the temptation. The temptation to regard problems as many is the temptation to keep the problem of separation unsolved. Yeah. The world seems to present you with a vast number of problems, each requiring a different answer. This perception places you in a position in which your problem solving must be inadequate and failure is inevitable. Wow, how many times do I feel like I'm a failure, like I just don't get it? Right? And if I could solve the problem of separation, if I could solve that belief, which I see is coming, or maybe I just believe it is and it isn't. Yeah, I don't know. Right? I don't know. Okay, anyway, no one could solve all the problems in the world. No one can solve all the problems the world appears to hold. They seem to be on so many levels, in such varying forms, and such varied content that they confront you with an impossible situation. And that's exactly how I felt. This is impossible. Dismay and depression are inevitable as you regard them. Some spring up unexpectedly, just as you think you have resolved the previous ones. Others remain unsolved under a cloud of denial and rise to haunt you from time to time, only to be hidden again, but still unsolved. Yeah, that cloud of denial. That's it, man. If we could pierce that cloud of denial that we're separate, that's it, man. That's the one I want to solve. But as I'm reading this, I keep seeing how I think problems, that there's this problem and that problem and this problem, and I got to solve this one and that one, and all the problems out there, right, are only the problems I have really with myself. The problem that there's something out there. So there's nothing outside myself, and I have not yet, honestly, convinced myself. Otherwise, I wouldn't be talking at all, right? Because there'd be nothing to talk to, nothing out there. Okay. Paragraph 6. All this complexity is but a desperate attempt not to recognize the problem, and therefore not to let it be resolved. If you could recognize that your only problem is separation, no matter what form it takes, you could accept the answer, because you would see its relevance, perceiving the underlying constancy in all the problems that seem to confront you. You would understand that you would have the means to solve them all, and you would use the means because you recognize the problem. Okay, so then the problem must be that thought creates, and I'm thinking I'm separate. So if that thought creates, let me recognize that problem. And if I don't, what I'm seeing, just a little comment here, because I'm trying to learn this for myself, so I'm speaking it, and I will listen to myself on this podcast so that I reinforce the idea in myself, which is why I'm talking to you, so that we can join and love each other and not have a conflict about, I'm different than you. No, that's not true. Okay. So in our longer practice period today, we'll ask what the problem is and what is the answer to it. We will not assume that we already know. Boy, am I ever good at doing that. I assume I already know. Man, I got the answer. I'm just full of knowledge, man. Listen to what I've got to say. I got it, man. and if you could just listen to what I'm talking about, you'll get it. And I'm just so full of shit. Sorry about I'm just so full of myself, right? My separate self, that I can see how I'm just beating people over the head, and I'm using the Course in Miracles to just beat people over the head so they can get what it is that I'm trying to learn. Wow. Man, that just keeps coming up for me, and it's like, yeah. Okay. We will try to free our mind of all of the many different kinds of problems we think we have. We will try to realize that we have only one problem, which we have failed to recognize. We will ask what it is and wait for the answer. We will be told. Then we will ask for the solution to it, and we will be told. The exercise for today will be successful to the extent to which you do not insist on defining the problem. Yeah, well, I'm not going to argue with that, because that's what I did. That's what I've been doing. And that's what this podcast is really about, is my confession that that's exactly what I'm doing. I think I know the problem. This little separate me, right, named Rick, thinks he knows everything. And what life is showing me is that, if I know everything, then I must be able to have some kind of control over what I know. No. No, you don't. Okay. So perhaps you will not succeed in letting all your preconceived notions go. But that's not necessary. Thank God, there's some relief, right? All that's necessary is to entertain some doubt about the reality of your version of what your problems are. That's helpful. You are trying to recognize that you have been given the answer by recognizing the problem, so that the problem and the answer can be brought together and you can be at peace. Oh, yeah, man. Check that. That's awesome. I don't know if you're hearing this like I'm hearing it. like it matters, because if I recognize it, well, I'll live it, and then you'll recognize it. Okay, let's have some fun with this. But anyway, I'm trying to let me say this in the first person. I am trying to recognize that I have been given the answer by recognizing the problem, so that the problem and the answer can be brought together and I can be at peace. What I'm hearing that, see if I can rephrase that in, my own way without changing the idea. So what I hear is that if I think there's a problem, then the opposite must also be true, that I think I have the answer. And the reason I'm asking the question is because there's a hidden belief underneath the question that thinks the answer's not already here. I have to go look for it. That's what I'm hearing. So anytime, and actually that was shown to me when I started writing that thing on Facebook. Wait a minute. As I wrote it out, it's like, I think there's a problem here. And the more I read it and realized what I was saying and what it is I'm trying to teach, I think there's a problem that's outside of me, right? Because I asked, as I wrote out, what then do I believe? That I need someone else to join me in my forgiveness lessons. okay, I need someone else to join me before I can join them. I'm putting myself on hold. As soon as I wrote that out, it's like, oh, I but do this to myself always. So I put that in the glass, like I said before, and I drank from it. Right. Before I even recognized what I was drinking. I did that. So I'm not only am I teaching, I'm also learning. I'm an unhealed healer. But I'm so interested in your healing that I'm really not paying attention to my own. That's what I'm doing. That's how I'm seeing, because I want to be the one, right? I want this separate character. This is how I see myself. This is what's being shown to me. This is my confession, right? Right? My confession to anybody that's out there, what it is that I'm doing, and I'm trying to be in integrity not only with myself but with you, in seeing this in myself and putting that out there, right, is that I want to be the one to heal you. I do. I really, really do. Because then, wow, look at me, man. I'm so cool because I helped you out. Look at me. Damn it. That realization, when I say it, even though it's the action that I'm taking, because, I see myself doing it. Unconsciously, I'm doing it. And even consciously, I'm doing it. Because I'm doing it now. And telling you that I'm doing it. That's kind of crazy. Right? So what's coming up for me right now in this is like, how do I stop doing it? Well, by practicing recognizing the pride in that. And I do. And it hurts. Right? That I've got that much unrecognized pride. Right? In a separate self. That I'm trying to be better. I'm trying to compete with you and put you down that you don't know, and I do. Damn. That. Wow. Ah, man, I'm just apologetic to everyone for that pride. I really am. But I can't wait for you to forgive me, right? Because then I'm doing the same thing. I'm looking for something outside of myself to heal me. This is a very hard road, man. Thank God for A Course in Miracles that teaches me how to be honest with myself. Because if I can't do it with myself, there's no way we're going to join. Because I'm living a lie. And until I can stop lying to myself about who and what I am, right? A separate entity, there's no way I can join with you, because I'm not telling myself the truth, that I'm not separate from you, that I'm not better than you in any way. No matter what I see outside myself, I'm the only one. Well, the ego grabs a hold of that I'm the only one. Like Tigger, boing, 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 boing. Right, I'm the only one. Wonderful thing about Tigger's the only one, right? Well, yeah, that's really fun, but and there's some truth to it. But what am I doing with that truth? It's twisting it into an untruth. keeping you separate from me because I'm better than you. I know something you don't. So I got to sit with that one. So, okay. You are trying to recognize that you have been given the answer by recognizing the problem so that the problem and the answer can be brought together and you can be at peace. So even as I'm talking to you, right, I'm feeling some depression because there's still the separation problem. You are trying to recognize that the shorter practice period for today will not be set by time, but by need. I will see many problems today, each one calling for an answer, which is exactly what I'm experiencing and sharing. So, my effort will be directed toward recognizing that there is only one problem and one answer. In this recognition are all problems resolved. In this recognition there is peace. Don't be deceived by the form of problems today. So, whenever any difficulty seems to rise, tell myself quickly, let me recognize this problem so it can be solved. Then try to suspend all judgment about what the problem is. If possible, close your eyes for a moment and ask what it is. You will be heard, and I will be heard, and I will be answered. So, what I'm hearing is to put away my ideas of separate self, right, and quiet my mind. And just settle down, right? Settle down all my anxiety about being separate, about having any pride, about it, and just listen. Because if I can listen to the truth about myself, that there's something more than this separate identity, then I will be able to tap in to all that I am, which is the awareness. See, because for me, sitting down to meditate and get quiet like that, be honest, I'm not really willing to do that. What I find works better for me, because I think, we all got to come to this in our own way, and what's always seemed to work for me is just to hear myself or write it down and look at it, right, to see what it is that I'm thinking. And as I write, which is why I think people compliment me about my writing and why I got to encourage myself to do that more, that's healing for me. Because when I read it and when I put something out there, the truth about my belief comes back to me, because I could write something very clear, very precise, very healing, and write. And that process for me gets me out of my own separate self and helps me tap into something bigger than, all that is the truth, right? That higher self. It helps me tap into that. And that's why I do this, because then I can hear it and get that feeling, that intuitional feeling, oh, that was a little off. And I think that's why this is my passion, is to get this out there so that I can hear what I'm saying, go, oh, that was a little off. And the more I do that, just how I see that I operate. The more I can put stuff out, the more that's going to come back to me, because it's all me, right? It's all the idea of a separate self, and the more I can put that idea of a separate self out there, the more it's going to slap me upside the head and go, wrong, wrong, and I'll feel it, right? And what I'm seeing showing up for me is the more I'm willing to be vulnerable to let that come back, right? And to slap me and to feel the pain of it and go, oh, ouch, that hurt. Who did that? Right? And that's why I love about Course in Miracles, because it really helps me to see that there is nothing else. It helps convince me there's nobody else. It's just me, right? And how I choose to see that is either going to hurt me, right, which is going to hurt all of us. So if I think there's a separate me, man, I'm always hurting myself. And I have to keep saying that out loud. I have to keep saying that out loud so that I can hear it. Right? So that I can hear it. Because the more I put that in it, the more that idea is going to sink in, that there is nothing outside of myself, so that I can be at peace and quit arguing with myself. My holy, unified self. Because what else is there to argue with? And man, that's been showing up for me, because anytime I have an argument with somebody else, right, even if I'm trying to convince them that they're only arguing with themselves, right, I'm arguing with myself. that they don't understand what I'm trying to teach. It's immediate, man. And all that healing, my experience of it that I'm sharing with you, my experience with that is that time between the time I see what I'm putting out there and the time that it comes back, right, is immediate. It's instant. And it takes me sometimes a while to catch up with it, right? For the unhealed part of my mind to recognize what it is. And that's really what Lesson 79 is teaching me, right? Let me recognize the problem so that it can be solved, right? That problem self, and what A Course in Miracles is teaching me, and all my experiences in life, right? Not just A Course in Miracles, but this is a great tool to help me recognize what's going on. There's nothing outside of me, and I'm not convinced yet, right? Because all my senses are telling me there is something out there. Why? Because I believe it. That's why it's there, right? That's why it's there. So that's pretty much what I said. Thank you for the illusion. Thank you for letting me see the illusion so I could be... I don't know. I'll put it in the comment. Like I said, I almost remembered it, but I'll put it in the comment. I promise. So thanks for the time. Thanks for sitting and listening. I hope it was helpful for you as it was for me to spend this time just putting that out there so that I can hear it, and so that you can hear it and recognize, hopefully, something that I see in myself, in my belief in separation, that you see in yourself in your belief in separation, right? As if there was something separate. So even saying that, how immediate that just comes back. Wait a minute. Who am I talking to? Okay. Well, have a great day. Bye.